Welcome back to Crime Story with Camila. Today we talk about a chilling story of the Delphi murders, a chilling mystery. For more stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. In the quiet town of Delphi, Indiana, nestled among serene trails and dense woodlands, lies the historic Monon High Bridge. Once a site of adventure and tranquility, it now casts a shadow of tragedy, forever tied to a mystery that has haunted this small community and captivated the world. This bridge was the last place Abigail Williams and Liberty German were seen alive, marking the beginning of one of the most chilling, unsolved cases in modern history, the Delphi murders. Abigail Williams and Liberty German were more than just best friends. They were like sisters. Abby, just 13 years old, was a talented artist with a passion for photography and creativity. Libby, 14, was known for her vibrant personality, love for science, and devotion to her family. Together, they brought joy to everyone around them. On February 13th, 2017, the girls had a day off from school. Excited for an adventure, they asked Libby's older sister to drop them off at the Monon High Bridge Trail, a popular hiking spot and local landmark. At 2:07 p.m., Libby shared a photo of the bridge on Snapchat, capturing the weathered wooden structure and the expansive view. It was a glimpse into their carefree afternoon, a moment frozen in time. But by 5:30 p.m., concern began to grow. The girls had failed to meet their ride home, and calls to their phones went unanswered. Family and friends immediately began searching the area, hoping it was just a misunderstanding. As night fell, panic set in. Something was wrong. The peaceful town of Delphi was about to be shaken to its core. Abby was a creative soul who saw the world through an artistic lens. Her drawings captured moments of beauty and imagination, and she dreamed of one day becoming an accomplished artist. Libby, with her infectious laughter and sharp intellect, had a knack for solving puzzles and aspired to make a difference in the world through science. Together, they shared a bond built on curiosity, laughter, and adventure. When the girls didn't return by their planned pickup time, Libby's family sprang into action. Family members combed through the trails, calling out the girls' names and hoping they had simply lost track of time. As the sun set, the urgency of the situation grew. By nightfall, the search had intensified. Family, friends, and neighbors joined forces, covering every inch of the trail and surrounding areas. Despite their efforts, there was no sign of Abby or Libby. The once peaceful trails now felt eerily silent, with only the rustling of leaves and the distant hum of searchers' voices breaking the quiet. The following morning, the search resumed with renewed determination. At approximately 12:15 p.m. on February 14th, less than a mile from the Monon High Bridge, a search party made a heartbreaking discovery near Deer Creek. The bodies of Abigail Williams and Liberty German were found. The serene beauty of the area was forever marred by the horror of what had happened. Delphi, a quiet town where everyone knew each other, was now at the center of a tragedy that no one could comprehend. The questions were immediate and overwhelming. Who could have done this? Why? And how could this happen in a place so seemingly safe? The search for answers would lead to one of the most puzzling and chilling investigations in recent history. For the families of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, February 14th, 2017 will forever be etched into their lives as the day their world shattered. The discovery of the girls' bodies confirmed their worst fears, and the pain of that realization was unbearable. Libby's grandfather, Mike Patty, spoke to the press with a trembling voice, urging the community to come together and help find the person responsible. Abby's mother, Anna Williams, described the pain as a hole in her heart that would never heal. Both families were determined to honor their daughter's memories by seeking justice.
My name's Mike Patty. I'm the grandfather of Liberty German. Just got off of a bike ride coming out of Delphi that I was done in her and Abby's honor. It was a pretty awesome experience. Thousands of people were in attendance. So normally I could go for things from the cuff, but my mind's been a blur of these last few days. So I took the time to write some things down that I want to make sure I get out there to the people and make this statement. So I raised Liberty since she was 3 years old. We've had her in our home. My wife and I's relationship with her has been deeply sown with love, as we're allowed to play two roles in her life, both grandparents and parents. She's the love of our life. We're a very tight-knit family with love pouring throughout our lives. There's not a day that goes by this was not shared between us. Our minds at this stage are stirred in the deepest sorrow one can imagine. It is my sincere hope that no one experiences what my family is going through at this time. Liberty was taken away from us, and this will be a void that will forever leave a hole in our souls. Yet we find strength in our faith in God and our Lord Jesus Christ. The outpouring support from our family, friends, neighbors, local community across the state, the nation, and even across other continents is unlike anything we've ever observed. With all the kind words shared with my family, we have yet to find the one statement that will take this horrible pain away. As I remember Liberty, she was so active and full of life, involved in every sport she could play: soccer, softball, volleyball, and swimming. She was extremely smart, taking all high-ability classes and maintaining an A average. She had a love for music and played the saxophone in the band and would often pick at a guitar in her room. What we would give to hear some of those off-key notes today. Her favorite class was science. She was determined to play a part in the field of sciences. Many times we discussed what she wanted to be when she grew up, but always circled back to science. From crafty projects she did to the strange experiments she was doing, always asking me to make her something from wood, plastic, or whatever, so she could run off to her room and turn it into something special. The hundreds and thousands of texts, emails, phone calls, and thoughts are welcomed and do help us travel down this path of grief. While we work to thank everyone for their support personally, I apologize if we do not reach out to you, as this is so overwhelming we cannot keep up. Therefore, we offer this statement as a token of my family's sincere appreciation for all the sympathy expressed upon us. We're thankful for the rapid response and professionalism displayed by local area fire departments, EMS, other emergency response personnel who answered the call. We're also thankful for those who helped us in searching for Liberty and Abigail. We're thankful to friends, neighbors, co-workers, perfect strangers, called off work and spent all night searching the area with our family, merely because they felt compelled to help. We're grateful for you all. While our law enforcement officials have combined efforts and are diligently working to solve the case and bring some closure, please know if anyone out there has any information, however small it may seem, please reach out to these officials so the person or persons responsible for this can be swiftly apprehended. If you know anything that may help support our search for answers, we invite you to call 844-459-5786. With Liberty's life taken from our world way too early, there are some things we'd like to do and honor her life. We are working to create a scholarship fund to help others seek to further their education, as Liberty was committed to doing the same by pursuing a college education. We also want to honor her by supporting the sports programs she loved. To honor her both memory and passion for these things, we've established a GoFundMe account available at gofundme.com/liberty-german. Thank you again for your thoughts and prayers. May Liberty and Abigail rest in peace.
The specific details of the crime scene remain closely guarded by law enforcement. What is known is that the girls were found approximately half a mile from the Monon High Bridge in a secluded area difficult to access. The positioning and circumstances of their discovery suggested that the perpetrator had intimate knowledge of the area. The remoteness of the location raised critical questions. Did the killer lure the girls to that spot, or was it a premeditated plan to commit the crime there? As the investigation began, one crucial piece of evidence emerged, a chilling clue that Libby herself managed to record in her final moments. Libby German, in an extraordinary act of bravery, recorded a video on her phone. It showed a man walking on the Monon High Bridge, dressed in a blue jacket and jeans. Though the video was blurry, it captured enough detail to ignite hope of identifying the suspect. Those 4 words, spoken in a calm yet commanding tone, sent chills down the spines of everyone who heard them. This was the voice of a predator, and it was the last clue Abby and Libby left behind. Libby's decision to capture this moment was nothing short of heroic. It gave law enforcement a critical lead, one that would guide their efforts in the years to come. But the blurry footage and audio were only fragments of a larger puzzle, one that would take years to piece together. As the investigation into the Delphi murders unfolded, the grief of Abigail Williams and Liberty German's families never wavered. The search for answers consumed them, and they leaned on each other for strength. Yet, behind their public resolve, the pain of losing their daughters remained an unshakable weight. Mike Patty, Libby's grandfather, pleaded with the public, "You know something. If you do, please help us. Tell us what you know." The hope for closure pushed them forward, despite the growing frustration of unanswered questions. Anna Williams, in turn, spoke about Abby's future, a future stolen in an instant. She had so much to give, she said through tears. Law enforcement agencies, local and state, were relentless in their pursuit of answers. They scoured every detail, analyzing Libby's phone for any hidden clues, investigating the area for physical evidence, and reviewing hours of surveillance footage from local businesses. Libby's video of the man on the bridge became the focal point of the investigation. For months, it was the only concrete clue, and it led to the creation of a composite sketch. The police hoped someone would recognize the figure, the man whose cold voice sent the girls down that hill. The release of the sketch marked a pivotal moment. Authorities believed they were close to identifying the suspect, but leads came in slowly and were often unfruitful. Time only deepened the frustration for the families and the community. Despite the mounting pressure, the investigation was plagued by setbacks. The town of Delphi, which had once felt like a safe haven, was now a community haunted by fear and sorrow. But the families refused to give up, continuing to speak out in the hopes that someone, anyone, would come forward with the information needed to bring their daughter's killer to justice. As the months turned into years, the frustration of the investigation grew. Law enforcement worked tirelessly, following every lead, running down every tip, but the answers never came. The blurry video, the chilling words, "down the hill," and the composite sketch were their only leads, and yet, the trail was growing cold. The lack of progress was maddening. Families, friends, and the town of Delphi had waited for years for justice, but each passing day seemed to dim the hope of finding the truth. The waiting was unbearable. Mike Patty's voice grew more strained as the years passed. "It's been too long," he said, a plea to anyone who might have knowledge of the case. For Anna Williams, the pain never truly receded. "I want to know who did this," she shared, her words filled with both grief and anger. The emotional toll on the community was immense. A small, close-knit town had been ripped apart by the brutal loss of 2 innocent lives, and no one felt safe. People began to question everything they had once taken for granted: their security, their neighbors, and their own sense of peace. Public frustration grew. As the years passed, the town's residents felt the pressure mounting, and their desire for justice intensified. "We will never forget" became the rallying cry for the people of Delphi. It was a statement of resilience, but also a plea for closure. As time dragged on, the case seemed to slip from the headlines, but the people of Delphi refused to let it fade into obscurity. The strength of the community and their dedication to Abigail and Liberty's memory was unwavering. In 2022, a new wave of hope surged through Delphi. Investigators finally revealed that they had made a breakthrough. A suspect had been identified. The arrest Richard Allen, a 50-year-old pharmacy technician from Delphi, Indiana, a small, tight-knit community where the murders took place. He had lived in Delphi for several years and was known to locals. Allen was married with children, and at the time of his arrest, he had been working as a technician at a local pharmacy. Allen's arrest, though long awaited, left the community with more questions than answers. How had he evaded detection for so long? What was his connection to the girls? And why had it taken so many years for justice to be served? The arrest was just the beginning of another painful chapter. As the legal process unfolded, the families of Abby and Libby were forced to relive the horrors of that day, and their hope for justice was tempered by the uncertainty of what would come next. The case was far from over, and the search for answers was far from complete. As the trial against Richard Allen gains momentum, the details of the evidence against him slowly begin to emerge. The investigation that spanned over 5 years finally revealed a web of connections that, piece by piece, painted Allen as the likely perpetrator of this heinous crime. One of the most damning pieces of evidence against Richard Allen is the video footage captured by Liberty German's phone on the day of the murders. The grainy footage, which shows a man walking toward the girls on the Monon High Bridge, became one of the most critical clues in the investigation. The man in the video, whose voice can be heard saying, "down the hill," was the key to unlocking the mystery. For years, the police searched for a match to the figure in the video, but it wasn't until 2022 that they identified Richard Allen as a potential suspect. Allen's connection to the scene was further solidified when law enforcement revealed that they had recovered forensic evidence linking him to the crime. DNA samples collected from the scene matched with Allen's DNA, confirming his presence near the bridge, where the girls were last seen. The discovery of Richard Allen's DNA near the crime scene was a significant breakthrough. But it wasn't just the physical evidence that tied him to the murders, it was also his familiarity with the area. Allen had lived in Delphi for many years, and investigators believe he had been in the area of the bridge at the time of the girls' disappearance. Despite Allen's apparent familiarity with the area, it took law enforcement years to piece together the evidence and confirm his involvement. His identity, until 2022, remained a mystery. How had a local man slipped under the radar for so long? How did he manage to avoid suspicion? The answer lies in the complexity of the investigation. For years, Allen remained just another face in the crowd, unnoticed by those who knew him. It wasn't until new forensic evidence, including DNA testing, narrowed the search that investigators were able to zero in on him. Alan's arrest marked a pivotal moment in the investigation, but it also raised new questions. How had he hidden in plain sight for so long? And how did the authorities finally pinpoint him after all this time? The arrest of Richard Allen stunned the community. A town that had lived in fear for over 5 years finally felt a sense of hope that justice would be served. Yet, with the arrest came a sense of unease. Many questions remained unanswered. What motivated Allen to commit such a gruesome crime? Was there something more to his connection with the girls than initially believed? As Richard Allen's trial begins to take shape, the families of Abigail Williams and Liberty German brace for yet another painful chapter in their journey for justice. The long-awaited day of reckoning has arrived, but it carries with it an unrelenting burden. For the Williams and German families, the trial is not just about seeking justice. It's about confronting the reality of what happened to their beloved daughters. For Mike, Patty, and Anna Williams, each day of the trial is a reminder of the empty spaces in their lives. The trial is not just about the legal process. It's an emotional roller coaster, one that they did not ask for but must endure. Every testimony, every piece of evidence brings them closer to the truth, but also forces them to relive the worst day of their lives. The trial's impact extends beyond just the families of the victims. Delphi, a once quiet town, has been shaken to its core. The residents have lived with this tragedy for years, haunted by the questions that have no answers. But now, with the trial underway, there is both a sense of relief and fear. The fear of what the trial might reveal, and the relief that, finally, the truth may come to light. Alan's defense is sure to be as complex as the case itself. His legal team will likely question the validity of the evidence and whether the investigation was thorough enough. The battle in the courtroom will be as much about legal strategy as it is about the quest for truth. For the families, the trial is a necessary evil. It may bring closure, but it also opens old wounds. Every detail revealed in court is another reminder of the innocence lost. Yet, in the pursuit of justice, they remain unwavering. They will not rest until the full story is known, no matter the emotional cost. As the trial continues, the question remains, will justice be served for Abigail Williams and Liberty German? And for the families who have endured years of heartbreak and uncertainty, can they ever truly find peace? The road to justice is long, and the fight for truth continues, one step, one day, at a time. After years of waiting, the trial of Richard Allen came to a conclusion in late December 2024, when the families of Abigail Williams and Liberty German finally heard the words they had been longing for: justice would be served. On December 20th, 2024, Richard Allen was sentenced to 130 years in prison for the brutal murders of Abby and Libby. The judge, Francis Gull, handed down the sentence after hearing the emotional statements from the victims' families who expressed their deep pain and desire for justice. His sentence would be served consecutively, meaning he would spend the rest of his life behind bars, with the 760 days he spent in jail before the trial being credited to his sentence. Throughout the trial, Allen maintained his innocence, even though he had made multiple confessions to the crimes. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, including DNA found at the scene and the chilling video taken by Libby, Allen's defense team suggested he was mentally unfit and planned to appeal the verdict. The sentencing brought a sense of closure to the community of Delphi, a town that had lived in fear for over 5 years. The emotional toll of the case was apparent, with the families finally able to take a step toward healing. But even in the face of this victory, questions remained. Could there have been more answers? What drove Richard Allen to commit such an unthinkable act? For Abigail and Liberty's families, the journey for justice is far from over. Though Richard Allen has been sentenced, the search for full answers and the legacy of these 2 young girls will continue to resonate in Delphi and beyond. Their story is not just about tragedy, it is about the pursuit of truth and the hope that such a horrific crime will never again be allowed to go unanswered.
Thanks for watching. For more interesting videos, please subscribe.